Welcome to the VIA tutorial for the FGCU College of Education University Supervisors. This is a video on how to operate VIA when completing student assessments. To access VIA, open your internet browser and go to the website vialivetext.com. For those who have used LiveText previously, VIA is on a different website. At this point, it's important to note that your experience may be different based on the internet browser you use. The people at Watermark, the company that produces VIA, recommend using Google Chrome or Mozilla Firefox for using VIA, though Internet Explorer and Apple Safari also work. If you have an issue logging in or viewing something within VIA, the first thing to try is using another internet browser. If that doesn't do the trick, the next option is to remove the cookies and cache from your internet browser. If you have questions about this, you can contact the FGCU College of Education VIA team, or you can contact the VIA support team directly at 1-800-311-5656. They have proven to be responsive and helpful for supervisors and for the FGCU VIA team. Once you get to the login screen, if this is your first time logging in, you will need to reset your password. To do this, you click on Forgot Password, then enter your FGCU email account. This example uses a Yahoo account, but you will use your FGCU email account. Then click Next. An email will be sent to your FGCU email. Follow the links in the email to reset your password. If you don't get an email, please contact the FGCU VIA team. They may need to re-establish your VIA account. Once you reset your password, you are ready to log in to VIA. If this is your first time logging in, you need to accept the terms of service. You will need to scroll down to the bottom of the screen where you click I have read it. That activates the Agree button in the upper right-hand corner. Click Agree and you are logged in. Congratulations! After logging in, the first thing you will see are any classes or groups of students you are evaluating. This demonstration account has students in Block 1, Block 2, Block 4 or Level 1, and Block 5 or Level 2. This example is generic, but when you log in, you will see the semester and year populated. Maybe you will see Spring 2019 or Fall 2020, identifying which term we currently are in. Block 4 is also known as Level 1, and Block 5 is also known as Level 2. There are a bunch of options over on the left. We won't cover them in this video. You likely won't ever use them. Now, let's get into a class or group to see how we would evaluate students. We are going to start with Block 1. In VIA, it takes a moment for things to load. If you are moving around quickly between pages, a page will occasionally load a pre-existing page. When that happens, you can refresh the page, or you can use the back button. It is important to know that if you click the back button in the top left corner of the screen next to the website address, it will mess up your navigation in VIA. VIA has in-house navigation, so the back buttons or cancel buttons will all be in or below this gray bar. You can, however, click the refresh page option, the circular arrow at the top. This won't affect your navigation. We are in an example of a Block 1 course, and if you are a Block 1 supervisor, you will be responsible for completing these 3 assessments for each student. The green wheels on the right show you the status of each student for an assessment. There are 3 students in this demonstration course. You see 3 awaiting assessment in the first 2 assessments, and 2 awaiting assessment for the third one. For student teachers, there should not be any that are awaiting submission. If you see that, please contact the VIA support team here at FGCU. Let's now look at how to score the observation assessment. As we log in, you see the X at the top of the screen. This takes you back to the previous screen. You can also choose another assessment from this page, though that sometimes causes a glitch. So we recommend you use the back button, or in this case, the X. So you've opened the assessment and you see that students don't need to, quote, submit anything. Assessments have been force submitted, so you are able to complete the assessments. You can click anywhere in the shaded bar to open the assessment. When you open an assessment, you see the rubric you will score on. Several notes to remember are that VIA is rolling out regular updates. In the future, we hope to have default responses for assessments, and we might set the default for this assessment to developing. But some assessments may not have a default score. Just as improvements may be made on how you operate in VIA, changes may be made to our assessments. So don't worry if this doesn't match what you see when you open your assessments. If you have any questions or problems, please contact us at the FGCU VIA team. We are happy to help you. Seriously. For this assessment, you see element items and the option to comment on each item. This assessment is divided up into 3 domains. Domain 1 covers planning and prep. Domain 2 is class evaluation, and Domain 3 is instruction. You can score each item individually, or if a student has the same score for every item in a domain, you can click on the column header, and it will populate the entire section with that score. If you make a mistake or want to start over, you can choose Clear Data above each domain rubric. As you score, please add comments when appropriate. Also, it will be helpful if you center your comments around the learning outcomes of the P12 students being taught. This is our purpose as educators, and having such comments recorded will help us with our accreditation reporting. After you submit an assessment, students will see their scores and their feedback when they log into VIA. In this example, there is an evidence line. That has been removed from the observation assessments, so you can disregard it. At any point during the assessment, you can save your work and come back to it at a later time. After you've completed the entire assessment, you will be able to submit it. For the Dispositions Assessment, as we load the page, you should know that the length of this assessment grows as students advance in their student teaching. In Block 1, there are only 9 items, and in the later blocks there are more than 25 items. The scores for each item are different from the observation, but the way you score the assessment in VIA is the same. You enter the scores and add comments. In this example, let's say this student displayed a mixed disposition for all items except honesty. Maybe this student was exceptionally honest. When you are done, click Submit. The performance assessment is more involved than the other assessments in this block, but it should be no more difficult to complete. In this example, there is a student awaiting assessment. If you see any students awaiting submission, please contact the FGCU VIA team to address it. Also, in the fall 2018 semester, some students were missing and others showed up multiple times. If you have anything like that happen, please let us know right away so we can address it. Now, let's open the assessment. This assessment is done at the end of the semester, and for Block 4 and Block 5, it is also done in the middle of the semester. There are several domains, and each domain has elements, but it also has areas for improvement, or AFIs, and highly effective behaviors, sometimes referred to as HEBs. This is because we not only want to know how a student performed, we want to categorize the areas in which a student did particularly well or where they have room for improvement. In this example, let's say the student did well on 1A. We can comment on how they did. For 1E, let's say the student has some room to grow on coherence. Now, for AFIs, this is not to say the student did a bad job. It's showing that the student isn't a perfect teacher. A good way to think about this would be that an exemplary teacher with several years of experience would be the standard we want for all of our students. If students are performing well given their experience, they may still have an AFI, which will help them understand how they can further improve as they work to become even better. AFIs can be minor or major. Don't be afraid to identify areas for improvement. In this example, our student has 2 AFIs and 1 highly effective behavior. Once you've completed the entire assessment, you can submit. If you need to make changes after submitting an assessment, you can contact the FGCU VIA team and we can unsubmit the assessment for further editing. As we finish looking at Block 1, we want to point out that the completion bar has updated. You can see there is now a completed assessment. When you go out to the course level, the circle has also updated. The dark green shows the completed assessments. At the end of the semester, you should have 100% completed. If you are having issues, or if there is a technical issue with completing assessments, please contact us. We will also reach out if we notice anything from our end. Now that we've finished Block 1, let's look at Block 2. Block 2 is very similar to Block 1. The observation assessment is the same. You can go back and view the description for the Block 1 observation if you need a refresher. The Dispositions Assessment may have more items, or it may be the same as the Dispositions Assessment in Block 1, but the process is exactly the same. Finally, the Performance Assessment. I want to make a note I should have made earlier. There is not currently control over the order of the assessments. For this class, I created the observation first, the dispositions second, and the performance assessment third. If things are ordered improperly, you have our apologies. As updates are rolled out, this will hopefully be corrected. This assessment is very similar to the Block 1 performance assessment. Now let's look at Block 4, or Level 1 students. In this block, there are 4 observations: the Dispositions Assessment, the Performance Assessment, and a video lesson rubric. In opening the observation, it is identical to those in the earlier blocks, but for this group, you will need to complete the observation 4 times. For the Dispositions Assessment, you can see more items listed than in earlier blocks. In looking at the items, you see they are numbered. The numbers here are not in order because this assessment only uses some of the 50 items in the entire assessment. You see here that we used item number 9 and then skipped to number 13. You don't need to worry about the numbering. Just score the assessment and add comments as appropriate. Now let's take a look at the performance assessment for Block 4. This example isn't what you will see when you complete this. In this example, you only see domain 1, but there are actually 4 domains. The format and process is the same, it's just longer. The final assessment for Block 4 is the video lesson rubric, which is new to this block. It's a standard rubric with the scoring elements and comments. Finally, let's look at the Block 5 assessments, which are very similar to Block 4, but there is a midterm performance assessment added. This is exactly the same as the performance assessment. In looking at observation 1, you see it's the same thing we've seen before. Next, we are going to look at the midterm performance assessment. This only shows a single domain, but this assessment will actually have all 4 domains when you complete it for your Block 5 students. You see the template name is the same. The template name says it belongs with Block 1, but that is because we borrowed the Block 1 template for creating this video. You won't see that when you log in, but the point is that the midterm performance assessment is exactly the same as the performance assessment. Now, let's look at the Dispositions Assessment. It has the first 9 elements, which are common to all blocks of students, but it also has items 10, 11, and 12, which were missing from the previous blocks. When you've completed all items, click Submit. The performance assessment in Block 5 is the same as the Block 4 performance assessment. This example only shows Domain 1, but there are 4 domains. If you have any questions about this or any assessment in VIA, you can contact the FGCU support team, Andrew at ablatter@fgcu.edu, or Vanessa, VLAVENDER, at fgcu.edu. Thank you for watching, and thank you for supporting our students. Go Eagles!